And here we see a complete, abject loser. He thinks drinking plain water is too hard, too icky. He finds cooking too arduous, grocery shopping too inconvenient. Because of a complete lack of imagination and willpower, he believes the solutions to these problems must be purchased. On a steady diet of Air-Ups, factory meals, HelloFresh ingredient boxes, and Uber Eats deliveries, he wastes away as both the perfect consumer and the imperfect man. Even his hobbies are too much effort for him, and so he subscribes to various AI softwares that makes content creation even more brain dead than it was before. It comes as no surprise then that the managing of his budget to pay for all these apparent solutions is also too difficult for his soupy, internet-addled brain, and so he defers to yet another service, Rocket Money, in the hopes that finally the burden of thought and skill building can at last be outsourced and life will finally feel full and well realized. In reality, however, he further cements himself as a lazy, shambling oaf who presents no desirable skills to potential employers, mates, or the creator of the universe when he meets his judgment as the spark of life finally leaves him and his essence returns to the stone and rock as it will for all living creatures. He also stinks. You have to do better. YouTube is completely overrun with these sponsorships that all seem to have just one agenda in mind, and that is to turn you into an infantile, useless, baby-brained man baby? Woman baby? Baby. Just an all-around baby. And it's not like the cute pet name baby that your partner might say to you. This is bad baby. This is baby-brained bullshit. These kinds of sponsorships, they must be doing well because I see them all over the place, and I have a problem with that, and that's why I'm making this video. This is to say nothing of the annual YouTube scandal that we always seem to see, the most recent one being Honey, where it was discovered they're basically just blatantly stealing from creators. The sponsorship scandal before that, I believe, was BetterHelp. Still very problematic, still should not be sending them any of your money. But this video is not about that. This video is a little bit more broad. This video is about the atmosphere of YouTube sponsorships and not the faults of any particular one. In isolation, they are not so bad, but in the context of each other, it paints the average YouTuber in a really terrible way. And if I have anything to say about it, maybe I can motivate just a little bit of change and we can shift the presumptive characteristics, we will say, of the average YouTuber, because just based on the advertising that I see most commonly, it does not look good. I'm going to highlight what I think are some of the worst offenders and explain why all these services are undermining your sense of self, your sense of confidence, and why that's bad. First of all, just look at this bullshit. I actually cannot believe this is a product with the level of marketing that it has.
I have a water solution. Today's sponsor, Air-Up.
I hate this thing. If you don't know what Air-Up is, it is essentially a glorified water bottle with a scratch and sniff hockey puck in the cap. And the marketing suggests that if you struggle with drinking water, which is necessary, by the way, for all human life on this planet, if you struggle with this most essential task, you can, instead of learning how to just drink water, you can gaslight yourself. You can trick your taste buds into thinking that they are consuming some kind of other sweet beverage of your choosing. And this product feels so insulting. It's insulting because the idea that you would consider gaslighting yourself, like willingly, to consume water is really fucked up to me. Are you really that far gone that you feel like you need to consciously gaslight yourself into drinking water instead of just spending a bit of mental effort and a bit of discipline into drinking water regularly on your own? This feels like it fell out of a medical science fiction novel. Just the idea that you are so lacking in confidence in yourself to just develop a water drinking habit and instead rely on this consumerist bullshit to get you to drink the most necessary component for your life is insane to me. If this were marketed like a fun novelty, like, ooh, you can drink water that doesn't taste like water, isn't that fun? Then okay. But the idea that this is like a solution for all you dehydrated motherfuckers is just... You do better. Please, God. Please don't do this to yourself. Just learn to drink the fucking water. I can't with this. It's literally like the definition of refreshing. If you can't get a feeling of refreshment from water, you need to pour out every flavored beverage in your house until you figure out that it is, because there might be no saving you. I'm sorry. Your body needs water to live. So, out of a show of gratitude for its thankless effort to keep you alive on this planet, learn to drink the fucking water, okay? If you have purchased an Arup before, or have considered purchasing an Arup before, you are my enemy. And the only way off of my long list of enemies is to comment, I am sorry, and then immediately chuck that shit in the garbage. You gotta do better than that. And also, fuck you too, you comedy YouTuber, for hawking this bullshit. You don't need the money, you little fucker. And speaking of keeping you alive, I am starting to see Factor advertisements all over the place. This feels like the next evolution of the HelloFresh ingredient delivery service, but now instead of having groceries sent to your front door, you can now skip the cooking part because cooking and meal prepping is too much of a time-consuming hassle. I hate this anti-do-it-yourself propaganda, because the insinuation that cooking is like this annoying hassle, this chore, is, not to get a little dramatic here, but an insult to the human race, because cooking is, I think, probably the thing that sets us apart from the rest of the animal kingdom. This ultimate, most fundamental tradition of ours is what propelled us all to the point that we are today as a society, that gave us all this stuff. And I resent the insinuation that cooking is a chore that should be outsourced at all times, that whenever is convenient. That is troglodyte bullshit-ass behavior. Actually, I take that back. A troglodyte probably would appreciate, 1, fresh drinking water, and 2, a home-cooked meal. In fact, I think they're the ones who invented the home-cooked meal inside the big cave. They've got a 300-pound mammoth steak on a rotisserie, and they're in there singing and inventing language or something. I don't know. You get what I'm saying. And I'm not some kind of chef purist or something. I recognize the need for the occasional convenient, either frozen or microwavable meal, but don't neg regular cooking as like a chore, as like a hassle. It is your perspective needs a fundamental adjustment if that's how you're looking at cooking. And I feel like the reason that you look at cooking that way is because you don't feel like you have a lot of cooking skills or expertise or experience. And that culminates in anxiety that pushes you away from that activity in the first place. And much like the previous sponsor, the solution to this may appear to just be buy your way out of it, but a much more wholesome and rewarding solution might be just to learn how to cook. So this anxiety and this chore mentality can be managed. You can instead look at cooking like a celebration of not just humanity, but of yourself, and rewarding you for being alive and doing all the crazy, fun, cool stuff that you want to do with your life. Just saying. And to cap this off, cooking is a desirable discipline, and if you view cooking as a constant, aggravating chore, then I think you would benefit from a perspective shift. I think it would behoove you to look at cooking as not just a celebration and nourishing of your own body, fueling all the creative, wonderful things that you want to do with your life, but also as a celebration of your own humanity. I feel like that's worth your time, because if you view all these necessary functions for your life, like drinking water, cooking food, as these great burdens, then you're going to be ripe for marketing ploys like these that present these parts of life that are actually like good for you as unfortunate, boring chores, then a lot of your life is going to be feeling like a boring chore. So learn to romanticize this stuff a little bit. Your life will be way more interesting, and you're going to have a lot more wonderful skills to show for it. Don't outsource the drinking of water and the eating of food completely. I'm begging you. And speaking of making your life better, I have seen at the gym TVs, my local gym, Caleb Hammer of financial audit fame or infamy plugging this app, and just weird to see a YouTuber on daytime TV. Just very interesting, but regardless, I have mixed feelings about this app. If you don't know, Rocket Money is an app that is designed to help you manage your finances, build a budget, trim unnecessary or unused subscriptions from your auto pays or whatever, and has also the capacity to apparently negotiate your bills for you automatically. And while I do think there is a place for an app or a service like this in this increasingly complex digital world that we live in, I am including it because in the context of all these other sponsorships, I think it is robbing you an opportunity to learn very essential life skills, and again paints the life skill itself as this unnecessary, burdensome chore, and in fact can actually be an incredible tool that can help you improve your life in ways that you can't imagine. Financial skills may be the most important skills you can even have in this modern life. Learning how to build a budget, how to maintain a budget. If you're like a freelancer, like I've been for a very long time, you need to know how to set aside money for taxes, how much to set aside for taxes, how to network, how to market yourself, how to negotiate better prices for the services that you're delivering. These are essential life skills that I worry greatly being outsourced to some external service or product for a number of reasons, which I will lay out now. First of all, what happens if this app or service goes offline one day? What do you do then? Seriously, what do you do? You might be in a nightmare situation, because if you've relegated all of your budgeting to an external service and you are trusting that to manage everything, and then that suddenly that service, that product isn't there anymore, you might be setting yourself up for a disaster. Don't like that. That's bad. Second thing, this bill negotiating part. I think that's very appealing, very tempting. However, learning to negotiate is just one of those really important life skills that not even in the financial sense, in the general sense, would greatly improve your life if you could get a mastery of that. Learning how to have tough conversations with a landlord, your partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, people in your life that you respect but have disagreements with. Like I said before, if you're a freelancer trying to get a better deal on a service that you render, the ability to negotiate is what's going to get you to a better position in these scenarios. And just asking someone else to do it is convenient, yes, and maybe the way to go for some of these smaller, less important things. That's a massively beneficial life skill, and you can't ask you can't bring up Rocket Money to settle a dispute with your family. You're not going to use Rocket Money to help you buy a house. You know what I mean? It can't help you with that. And the last thing, which I'm now going to open up to all the sponsors that I've mentioned so far, is this idea that convenience is the most important thing, and that essential life skills which you could learn that would fuel your sense of confidence can be instead circumnavigated, and you can just pay a price to shore up these areas of your life. And I just don't like this idea that convenience is this thing that needs to be prioritized over all else. And I think about how widespread and deep this marketing is. Like, I think every big name YouTuber I can think of has probably pushed one of these services at least once. And I think that scares me a little bit, because the things that they are selling are getting in the way of a essential sense of confidence for young people. If you fall into the consumerist trap that these services are going to connect you to a better, more free life, there's a lot of opportunities that you're going to start denying yourself without even thinking about it. There are plenty of studies out by now that show that there is an increased sense of loneliness. There is a widespread sense among people in a certain age demographic that they're not prepared for an adult life. And a lot of people feel like they are lacking fundamental life skills. They are lacking a certain confidence. And in the context of these sponsorships, it's kind of easy to see why they're so successful, because they are preying on these anxieties and in fact are also making them worse. If you are never leaving your house because you're having all your groceries and meals delivered to you, well, those are a handful of social opportunities that you're denying yourself. And maybe you're not thinking of it that way. You're thinking of it, again, as a chore to go out and collect the food and come home. And it can be a chore sometimes. I'm not trying to insinuate that I love buying groceries all the time, but it's a perspective thing. Like, for example, one of my clients that I do video work for always mails me a paper check that I will then go to the bank to deposit because it's cheaper than having a wireless transfer. And I like this because I get to chat with the bank tellers. I get to talk to them. We have things to talk about now because one of the times I was there waiting in line, there was this, we'll call him a male Karen, was there just being a total douche about some dumb thing. And as the second he left the building and it was my turn, I got to bullshit with the bank tellers about this. And they thought it was very gratifying that I could say what they couldn't say because they were working. And now I get to chat with them every time I go, and I look forward to it. They even sent me a cookie one time through the pneumatic tube, and I'm never going to forget that. And this is a small thing, but a sense of community is built on these small things. And while it's not super likely that you're going to make a best friend when you're out buying apples or whatever in the produce section, you never know what might happen. And you never know who you're going to meet out there, and you never know what social moment is going to help you feel grounded and connected to something bigger than yourself. And connecting to this, cooking is such an attractive skill. Hooking your date up with a Factor meal is not going to hit the same as something that you've built and prepared yourself. There's just no comparison. Literally no comparison at all. And cooking can also be a signal, a message, a labor, if you will, of affection for another person. The time that you pour into something with the intention to share it with somebody else makes that a lot more meaningful. And in this era of extreme convenience, even small signals that somebody was worth your time can be very meaningful. And if you outsource the cooking all the time, you are denying yourself a very wholesome, wonderful way to signal to other people that you care about them. And even if you're living alone, it's important to show yourself that you care about yourself. And a great way to do that is with regular, healthy meals. And also, my homeboy, Karl Marx, outlined how important it is to have a connection to your labor and having something to show for your effort. And cooking is one of the best ones for this because then you get to eat it directly afterwards. You get to make something cool and then eat it. And this is not to say anything of how expensive all of these meal delivery services can be. Uber Eats is like frequently doubling the price of anything that you're ordering. And also Uber Eats is like it often damages the return, the financial return on smaller restaurants that use Uber Eats. And also Uber drivers are not compensated very well. All that money is going to the people that run and own Uber, okay? It's not going anywhere meaningful. Not only are you harming yourself, there's probably a lot of other societal harm happening as a result of that decision to prioritize convenience. And on the related subject of all of these delivery services, let's not forget how expensive this can all add up to be. The average American salary, if you take out the top 1%, is around $35,000 annually. And that is not the budget that is particularly flexible about this kind of thing. In a country with quickly eroding safety nets and for-profit health insurance and all of that, this is not the budget to be reckless with. This idea that eating well is just always going to be expensive is complete BS. You can get a lot of amazing food made with a bag of rice and a bag of beans. They are super cheap, they last forever, they are incredibly filling, and there's a lot you can do with it. Anyway, point being, as you learn these skills, you become a more confident, more competent version of yourself. The more that you learn, the more that you know, the more that you can rely on yourself for, the more confident a person you will become. And confidence, I don't care who you are, is always a benefit to your life. I think a lot of anxiety about these skills, these areas of our life, comes from a place of uncertainty and not knowing, especially the financial rocket money stuff. And I can't blame you. The American school system sucks. I got a fine arts degree, okay? I'm not particularly motivated by money either, and this is something I kind of had to stumble through and learn in a very clumsy, non-linear, efficient way. But I did learn it, and it did help me become a more competent, well-rounded, confident adult. And I think about the average YouTuber and the sponsorship sphere and what these sponsorships say about the people on this platform, and it paints them as someone who is not very confident in themselves, that has a lot of uncertainty and a lot of laziness about learning these essential disciplines. It's kind of a depressing image, and I think this is something that would benefit everybody on this platform to be a little bit more conscious of, because I don't want this to become a self-fulfilling prophecy of people arriving on this platform, not having these skills, seeing these ads, and with the consumerist mindset in place, just paying their way out of what they think is like a very oppressive cycle. Whereas I think a little bit of a perspective shift and looking at these essential life skills as something to adopt and celebrate, I think we'll be all a lot better off. And hopefully the YouTube atmosphere will also reflect that and will become an even better place for learning and self-improvement than it already is. Because there's a lot of amazing resources on YouTube already, but this sponsorship thing is getting out of control. And YouTube already has a terrible reputation for sponsorships anyway, so that's my pitch. Let's take a step back with this insanity about offshoring every essential life skill, down to drinking water, all the way to managing your entire life's finances. Let's do a little commitment, a little promise to ourselves that we are better than this. Confidence gives you a better quality of life. Confidence stems from knowledge. You acquire knowledge by practicing and learning these skills. Those learned skills translate to a stronger sense of self, and that improved sense of self is going to make you a better, more interesting person, a more reliable person, and a more self-assured person. So ditch these services that are enabling the worst version of yourself and start building the best version of yourself, and learn to drink regular fucking water. Disagree if you want. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong. I think I'm right. And that's all I have to say. I'm out.